Hello everyone, welcome back to Asynchronous JavaScript series. So today we are going to use async await and we are going to fetch data from the API, basically a key skill or for a modern web development and the cleanest way to write any kind of fetch data from the API, right? So by the end of this video, you will fetch, process and display data cleanly and let's get started, right? So this is the file that I have created, that's a async await, and the title I have added async await, right? So let's start with the basic fetch with the async await, right? So I'll write a function here that basically fetch the user data. I have a API that basically provide user details. So we are going to fetch that. So let me write that. So we'll say async and we'll say function, right? And the parameter name, the function name will be, then say get users, right? Now we don't need parameter in this. What we're going to do, we are going to try and say catch, right? And in the catch, we'll just print the error. So we will write here console dot error, and we will say error fetching the data, and what we can say error, right? And we'll close this. Why we're getting this one bracket, right? Now the main thing we are going to start it here. So we are going to fetch the data. So we'll say constant response equals to await. Um, this will be the fetch, and here I'll place the API. But first, let me write all this process. And the API the API I have, it will provide the data in a JSON format. So I will say console. What we can do, we can say first we will get the data in a JSON format, then we'll print it. So we'll say constant user equals to response dot JSON, right? So this will we get, and now we'll print this user. So we'll say console dot log and we'll say user, right? And let me just copy paste the API so that I can get the user's data. So this is the API. Don't worry about the API. I will add in the description so that you can try with your own, right? So this is the function we have created, asynchronous function. Now we are fetching the data, and we will get the data in the form of JSON, and we are printing the data, right? And if something happen, we're not able to fetch the data or some error happen, any kind of error, we'll see like what kind of error is happening here, right? And and the last thing we are going to say, we are going to call the function, right? So let's run it and see what we get. So this is the our function. Let me close this. We got the data. So it's a promise is fulfilled, right? And we can see all the 10 data here with the name, email, username, and zip code, geolocation, everything we have it, addresses, company name, phone number, website, right? We got all these kind of data, right? So we have successfully fetched the data using the async await, right? Now, and if one thing here we have to notice, we are not using dot then and that, basically that complicated thing. See how with the two line we are able to get the entire data. Now what we're going to do, we are going to display this data in on a web page, right? So let me create a first table first. Yeah, and then ID I can pass. So we are displaying user data. So we can say user list, right? And we are going to display the data inside here, inside the table, right? So we have got the data here, and now we are going to run in a loop, right? So we'll say user dot for each, and this will be, yeah, user dot for each, and this will be We can say element, you can also say user, right? That doesn't matter basically. So I mean, that doesn't matter. So let's create a li element. So it's a constant li, and that will be document dot create element. And if you don't know how to create an element, just go and check out my playlist. I have mentioned a video how we can create element, how can delete element, how can yeah. I mean, I have a full video on that, so I'm not going into that part. And we are going to add the text. So we'll say li dot text content. That will be and we'll say that will be user, or we can say element dot name, right? And comma, we are going to say element dot email, right? Something we have missed here. So element dot name, that's okay. And I have to add the semicolon. And now you're going to append the append the append this thing, the li.text content to the here. But one thing we have to do, we have not get the ID. So first we have to get the ID, then we can append the entire li things inside that UL thing, right? So let's get that. So we'll say constant your list, that will be equals to document or get element by ID, and that will be your list. So we got the user list. Now we are going to append that. So we'll say user list dot append child, and we are going to append that li. That's it. So now you'll be able to see the entire data set that will be seeing into the console. Rather than seeing into console, we will see the user name and email in the browser. So let's switch to the browser and see. So it's a user.for. See, user.for each is not a function, so we have misplaced something. User, it is saying user.for each is not a function. Okay, yeah, we have not added the await here. So it is only fetching the one data and it is printing. Now we'll get that. See, we got this right. And now we are dynamically rendering API data in the browser, and that is basically practical for any web app, right? You can also do this. So here what we have done the get request. So I'll suggest you guys just try with the post request as we have done in the using the fetch and then, right? So you just have to replace fetch and then with the async await, and then you can basically send a post request to the this API, and I'll post the API also, like where you can send a post request, and this is how you basically get the data from the API, right? And that's how async await is helpful, and how it is helpful to write a neat and clean code for the real world API calls, right? In the next video, we are going to explore the advanced promise method like promise.all, promise.race, or and more. And that is basically perfect for handling multiple asynchronous tasks simultaneously, right? So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you into the next one.